Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Across the Pitch Union Post Game Show. Today is July 16th, 2025. The Union squeak out a 2-1 win against Montreal. I say squeak out because I genuinely think Montreal probably could have had two more goals in this match. Tonight we have Kyle Almany from the one team we agree on. He'll be joining us, I believe, in about 20 minutes or so. After that, or before that, rather, I believe Jose Nunez will also be joining us for a short while. Once he gets on the press conference, any of his MLS duties. I'm not sure if Todd is joining, but man, what a match. So, as I'm sharing on my links and my YouTube posts and all that stuff, my initial reaction to entering this game was this feels like a trap game. This feels like a game that you're coming off this really great high. You just take care of your New Jersey rivals. You beat them pretty handily. Like I mentioned in my article, I think we talked about the last show. The Union kicked the Red Bulls' ass on Saturday. Really a complete game. So you come into Wednesday, you're thinking short rest. You know you have the road trip just a few days away. It felt like a game that they could easily fall asleep on. And honestly, it's kind of how they were. In the first half, they weren't that great. So bear with me 1 second. I see a couple comments coming in. Gonna share out my YouTube links for the show. 2 seconds, I promise. That's it. Talking Dupe. There you go, on AAT Sports Network. And we're good to go. Bring up some comments and let's get this conversation started. First and foremost, Ms. Valerie says, just because you scored a goal does not have to mean you're the man of the match. Owusu was fantastic tonight for Montreal. He entered the game with 9 goals and 2 assists. I have a quote from Bradley Carnell's pre-match press conference that really just tied into his performance tonight. Other comments here. Cole agreed here regarding my introduction with Montreal and the Union. Joe, I'm here. Love to see it. Michael, let's go. Tense game. It was a tense game. It was a much more relaxing game against the Red Bulls, Michael, than it was tonight against Montreal, which you feel like should have been the opposite. And Joe says trap game, just like the first game against Montreal. But Cole, a win is a win. So let's take a step back here. If you guys remember the entire month of May, very long, tiring month of May, we started that month against Montreal in Montreal. We had just taken care of DC United. We had just taken care of Atlanta United, 3-0 in both matches. Now we had the Open Cup game against Indy 11 a few days after the Montreal match, so we thought you might just squeak out a draw. You kind of just try to get through Wednesday healthy, maybe throw some Union 2 guys in there. They didn't do that. The Union actually put together a pretty decent lineup that night. And you get an early goal from Indy, you get a late goal from UA, you walk away with a 2-1 victory. Fast forward to now, two different scenarios, right? You're now trying to handle business at home. It's okay if you get a draw on the road. That's fine, right? But at home, after the game you just saw on Saturday, you cannot lose to this team. In my opinion, you can't draw to this team either, especially the team that's at the bottom of the table right now. So tonight's match, actually, I'll bring up George's comment real quick. A win is a win, but I think I'm done with Nathan Harrell center back experiment unless it's in a pinch. Actually, George, I want to get to that as well because that's something that I brought up amongst people I was texting during this match. So let's go to the lineup. Let's just get right into it here. So the starting 11 tonight was the identical lineup that we saw against the Red Bulls. We had Andre Blake in net. Andre Blake, fantastic game tonight. Really, honestly, saved us once again, as he always does. The back four, we had Wagner, Makanya, Glessis, and Nathan Harriel, Lukic, Danley Jean-Jacques, Sullivan, Vasilev, Baribo, and Damiani. Now, on the bench, for the first time in quite some time, Michael Ua was available. Olivier, Raffanello, Rick, and Ben Bender, Bedoya, Cavan, Chris Donovan, and, like I said, Frankie Westfield, again on the bench. So, in my opinion, I know Westfield's coming off an ankle injury, and I'm not entirely sure if he's 100% or not. However, I didn't mind Nathan playing right back again, considering he played okay against the Red Bulls and he's coming back from international duty. Try to get him acclimated again. I had no problem with that. I didn't mind if we hold. I don't mind if we hold Westfield until Saturday against Houston. Have some rotation. It's fine. I'm glad to see him coming off the bench, at least making a contribution that way. Cole says both Sullivans played really well. Actually, something about Cavan. I was a bit iffy on that substitution, but he actually played pretty good on the few minutes he had. But I know some fans on Twitter were not really pleased with that. They wanted to see Frankie Westfield at right back instead of Nathan Harrell, which I get. I understand. But again, I think Coach Carnell has earned his respect where he can tweak the lineup as he sees fit. In the first 20 minutes, first half hour, as I was kind of alluding to already, they were half asleep almost the entire time. I think Montreal looked like the more dangerous side, at least for the first 15 minutes for sure. Now, I know the Union get very fortunate on that goal because Danley basically beast moded his way through. But if you look at the first few minutes, I'm pulling up my notes real quick. Former Union player Fabian Herbers has a pretty strong shot at net, hits the side of the net. Brandon Craig had a free kick that was needed to be saved by Andre Blake, and I thought Brandon Craig was involved and effective tonight for Montreal. So in the first half hour, I was thinking like they're going to give up a goal. They're for sure going to give up a goal because there's no way they can survive the entire match with the way they're playing. And sure enough, and actually, going back to the pre-match press conference, like I mentioned, Coach Carnell was asked about Montreal, and he said Prince Owusu is lethal on crosses. And sure enough, a fantastic cross by, I want to see make sure I got this name right, Waterman. Fantastic cross by Waterman. Finds Owusu to tie it up in stoppage time in the first half. And if you guys remember from the first Montreal game, they scored in the stoppage time in the first half then, and they scored in stoppage time again now. So this is a trend that we've seen with the Union. They just fall asleep on defense at various points of the game. It usually won't be the entire match where they're playing half asleep. It'll be periodically, maybe like a few seconds here, a few seconds there. But it just always seems like when they do fall asleep, it absolutely kills you. And if you look at the play for Owusu's goal, fantastic cross by Waterman. Again, I mean, absolutely fantastic. But Owusu is wide open. He does a great job leaping for that and getting it off the volley. But if you want to go back before we even get to that goal from Montreal, Danley Jean-Jacques and his goal reminded me very much of the Danley Jean-Jacques assist that we saw in Montreal. If you remember that assist, he walks the ball down. He passed the ball to Westfield by the Union goal, and he just pings it all the way across. Donovan gives him a chip, and he just goes to the races, gets a slight deflection on his cross, but Indy Vasilov scores in the second minute. And it was just like, it was very much like a deja vu. Danley gets the ball, and he just absolutely tears it up the field. And you see how important he is to this lineup and how dynamic he can be and how he can just, with nothing seemingly available, just turn something into gold. And again, Quinn Sullivan showing how valuable he is in the right place at the right time off the deflection after Danley's push towards net, and he finds Bribo. So despite the Union not playing well, like I mentioned, despite Owusu being really dangerous, and this wasn't just the first half, he was dangerous the entire match, and I'll get to his like near bicycle kick later. But even though Montreal was playing so much better than the Union, they still found a way to score, and they still found a way to go 1-0, and it at least gave me a sense of relief. Like, okay, maybe they're not on their A game today, but at least they're putting the ball into the back of the net. Valerie says, still on top with 46 points, one up on Cincinnati, plus a big goal differential. Yeah, let me look at the live standing goal differential now. I'm not even sure what it is at this point. On the table, live standings, let's see, the short form, plus 17 goal differential, 46 points, and again, 1 point up on Cincinnati. Nashville's leading right now 2-0. They're at 44 points as of right now. Columbus is trailing 2-0. So, Union take care of business. They stay on top. Love it. Domesticated Hoagie joins us. All the players drenched in sweat just made me think of The Simpsons and Ned Flanders. Feels like I'm wearing nothing at all. And stupid, sexy Vasilov. Valerie mentions here 17. And then Cole says, what is this new purple thing? I'm not sure, Cole, what you're referring to. So if someone can add into the comments what he's referring to, the purple thing. Evan says, I feel bad for Prince Owusu. Dude is a wrecking ball on a bad Montreal team. Yeah, I know Montreal as a whole looked better than the Union in the first half. I know we got not lucky, but we found our opportunity with that goal in the first half. But Prince Owusu's finish on his strike was fantastic. Let's get to the second half. Fabian Herbers comes out. And actually, let me see if there's anything else I need to mention from the first half. No, I think I'm good on that. Let's turn the page now to the second half. Now we've seen this team play well in the second half. I know how Bradley Carnell likes to approach this has liked to approach the season. He wants to be the hunter, not the hunted. He mentioned that in the press conference as well this past Tuesday. I want to be the hunter, not the hunted. But in the first 45 minutes, he looked like the hunted rather than the hunter. So I was hoping that once they got to the locker room, they took a deep breath and were able to turn things around. I mean, and credit to Quinn Sullivan. He comes out almost immediately in the second half. He has a shot on net, barely gets saved. And at least you saw that spark and that drive to try to finish these guys off. Nothing mentions here. I like that username. Nothing. Craig looked nice. Makes me wonder what he could have done if Curtin would have given him an opportunity. And Craig, I think that's a perfect segue into Makanya. So we've been praising Makanya all season long. I think Evan says right here, just like Makanya last season. Absolutely. I think Jose Nunez has highlighted a couple times. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a call from the South African team at some point, but considering the way he's playing. And in the last match in particular, what I noticed myself was he was really dangerous on set pieces, more than I think he has been in recent games. And maybe I have to rewatch the matches. Maybe I'm not paying attention as closely, but I just like against the Red Bulls. I'm like he almost got the goal before Indy scored, and I'm pretty sure he had a header too that just missed the target. I'm like, man, he's really dangerous right now on set pieces for this particular match. And against Montreal in the last match we played them in May, we had 6 corner kicks. So I'm thinking, I don't know. And I mentioned this in my article as well. I think Makani is going to score. I just had a feeling. And sure enough, Kai Wagner puts a fantastic corner in, which he's done all season. I mean, Kai's corners are absolutely fantastic. They really are. And Makani goes up, skies up there, and gets the header. As Cole says, I could not be happier for Makani. I felt like he was robbed last week, Cole. I mean, if you look at the aerial replay, they showed like a drone or something replay of the goal on the Union social media, and you see like literally inches, centimeters maybe, from going into the net or crossing the line to get a goal. So I was really happy for Makani because I felt like he got robbed last week, and he gets his goal this week. But let's go back to I believe it was nothing here with Craig. He never gets an opportunity with Curtin. Absolutely none whatsoever. He gets loaned out to El Paso. I'm fairly certain is where he went. He comes back to Montreal. Now they just released or they just I guess are dealing Campbell to West Ham. I think it is. I wrote it down in my article. I forget, but either way, George Campbell is getting loaned out. So Craig gets more of an opportunity to play, and he looked really good. His free kick, especially where Blake had to make a save, he looked really good. I'm like, this is what we missed out on. And if you remember too, I think it was the one of the youth national team performances. I can't remember what it was. Was it CONCACAF? I don't know. Somebody's gonna have to remind me. There was a tournament that the U.S. national team played on, and Brendan Craig was on that roster, and he played really really well. And that was when we're saying, okay, he's playing well. The center backs are good, but obviously the Glasses and Ellie need a break. Let's get Brendan Craig into the conversation. He just never did. And we're seeing the same exact thing with Makanya. How the hell did he not see the field at all? I think the easy answer is Cole says U20, I think, and Evan says West Brom. Thank you. I appreciate you guys finding that information so quickly for me. The U20 team is when he had his big performance. But I think the easy thing to target Curtin on was Baribo didn't play, right? Because he came into the lineup and he was absolutely phenomenal in the first 10 matches he had, right? It's easy to say Baribo should have played. But now as this season's gone on and it's progressed, how Makanya didn't see any time, not even one game for the Union, it just blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind that Curtin missed on 2 players last year, Ty Baribo and Makanya. It's frustrating because I'm trying to think of other players that Curtin didn't play enough. I mean, Andres Pereira, he started his career with the Union pretty strong. He had 2 goals, I think, in CONCACAF. And he just disappeared. That's it. Just poof. No really excuse. He just vanished. It's Stuart Finley. You could probably argue him too. I mean, we probably didn't see enough of Stu Finley. We wanted to see 3 center backs while he was here, and then once he gets shipped out, Damian Lowe comes and they go to 3 center backs. It just seemed like Curtin was just always a step behind with some of his players. Even Jesus Bueno at times. So to see Makanya flourishing, to see him sit out an entire season, he has the red card in the MLS Next Pro game. He didn't have the best season last year in terms of just like, where your spirit is, your confidence, right? Like, yeah, sat on the first team bench. You had that tough MLS Next Pro championship game. That's easy to get down on yourself and feel disheartened. But for him to come into the season and just play the way he has been, I mean, kudos to him. He's a very young player. Great maturity for this young man. Absolutely great maturity. Valerie says, I still miss Stewart. Yeah, so do I. I think he was a fantastic locker room guy and really deserved more chances than just the Open Cup where he scored against Orlando City. He deserved more chances. Second half, though, like I said, let me turn the page here, my notes, get more to the second half. Like I said, Fabian's out. Quinn Sullivan has a good start. We get the Makanya header and into that off the corner kick. And then you see some substitutions. You see Ua replace Ty Bariba, and this is Ua's first appearance since I don't even know when. If one of you guys can look for it while I'm chatting, when was the last time Michael Ua played? It's been a handful of matches. So uh, it's good to see him get some minutes. I imagine with him seeing minutes tonight, he will probably get more minutes, if not start, on Saturday night. It's hard to take out Bruno Damiani, who played fine tonight again, had the goal on Saturday. Ty Brebel scores again today. So it's hard to take those two guys out right now. They're both scoring. But I want to see Michael get more involved. He was involved tonight. I thought, oh, thank you, Cole. May 31st against Dallas was the last time Michael Ua played a game. That's right, because he got hurt at the very end. Thank you. I appreciate you guys helping me out here. And Frank B says, with Ua back, how is Dono seeing the field tonight? Even if it's only for about 10 minutes, it's a head scratcher. We'll get to that in a second. But Michael Ua sees some time tonight. He does get the opportunity with a header. He heads it down, which I think was the right play. I think it was just a bounce. It was just too hard of a bounce. I think it was an unfortunate moment for him. I don't think it was anything that he did wrong necessarily. I think it just took a weird bounce. But Ua was involved. He had his opportunities. He was continuing to attack uh, Montreal. And Evan says here, I would have preferred Sal over Dono. You know what? Thank you for basically answering what I was going to say, Frank. Evan, spot on. I would have preferred Sal over Dono in this moment here. Or even, as Cole says, Anderson. But the next sub here, I think, is something that we should not overlook. Frankie Westfield replaces Jacob Glesnes. Let's go back to this conversation we've been having already. Jim Curtin overplaying his center backs, right? Not getting these guys out of there to stay healthy. Jacob Glesnes had a fantastic season so far. Jose, I'm just talking about this substitution. Actually, this is, I think, a great time for you to join. Really, actually, what I was about to talk about was the Frankie Westfield sub for Jacob Glesnes. So what I was saying was we've seen Jacob get run to the ground. We've seen him have a great season so far. But Westfield comes in for Glesnes. Nathan Harrell gets moved to center back. So now we have Westfield, Nathan Harrell, and Makanya next to each other, and Kai Wagner. Am I looking into this too much, or am I correct in saying that Carnell is obviously showing how much confidence he has in those two players at center back? And to Lord of Olympia's point, thank you for reminding me, he was also on a yellow card. So it's a good substitution. But regardless, Montreal was attacking for most of the night. And they almost scored right after one of the subs too. So I give me your 2 cents there, Jose.
Well, let me apologize in advance if I disconnect. I'm in a hotel in Connecticut right now for work. So if I have a shitty connection, I'm so sorry. I'm sure you'll carry on. But Cornell sort of spoke about this at the tail end of the press conference, talking about how the substitution was more or less guided by the fact that Glesnes being on a yellow did not allow them to have the chaos that they like to have per se when it comes to pressing and just how Montreal was finding these pockets of space down the middle. So it sort of guided it. But he also sort of corrected a little bit in saying that, well, with the game on Saturday, we also sort of had a platform or a plan in place to potentially bring them out anyway. So like, I don't know, pick your poison. But Um, Carnell spoke about the importance of the competition that has sort of like broken out across a lot of roles in the team this year, and how good that has been, right? Like, you go into the preseason, who would have thought that Makanya was going to be the one of the number ones, right? It
Yeah.
was sort of Jan Glavinovic. The injury happens. Makanya steps in. All right, Nate Harriel's injured. Okay, here comes Frankie Westfield. He takes on the role. Frankie gets injured. Now Nate's back in the role in a way, as
Mhm.
Frankie's making his way back. So it's a lot of competition all over the place. But man, kudos to Nate for sort of just shoring out the rest of the game. Got lucky by the post. I can't remember if that was before or
Yeah.
after the substitution. So uh, I guess the team as a whole got lucky by the post, but you get it.
Yeah, a couple more comments here. Joe giving us the supporter shield race standings there. So Vancouver's up 3-0 on Houston. Nashville up 2-0 on Columbus. Since he beat Messi and company 3-0. And San Diego versus Toronto is at 10:30 p.m. Union, of course, still sitting up top as of right now, the supporter shield and Eastern Conference standings. Mark mentions 23 games into the season last year, Union had 21 points, so quite literally double, if not more, actually a little more than double than what we had last season. A phenomenal year we've had so far.
They already beat
Um,
last year's total.
exactly. It's fantastic stuff here. Evan says Harrell's potential on yellow card accumulation too, so I would have been okay with a Westfield for Harrell swap. And then Valerie says Jose looks odd with no ends on his wall at your in your living room. Uh,
I
real,
shaved.
he looked fantastic, Jose. But we're talking about center backs and all that stuff. One thing I just noticed right now is that
Dude, my
there
teeth are
was
white.
sparkling. You look great. Did you
Holy
get
smokes.
some bleach on there or something?
No,
One
I haven't
thing I
either.
noticed though tonight was there was no real center back be on the bench tonight. Pierre wasn't on the bench.
Yeah, yeah, there was no Pierre. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if they would have gone to a back three instead. Should something had happened, I'm not sure. That is something that I didn't catch. So good on you, good eye. Didn't even make it past my brain.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at who would have, if like I think somebody in the comments earlier said like we're tired of Nathan Harriel at center back, but in this situation, I don't think you have much of a choice. I mean, you don't put Olivier in that.
Well, back up.
Okay, okay.
Bradley Cornell, as I'm sort of going through my brain here in the different sections of it. Bradley Cornell has actually talked about how he doesn't see much of a difference or too much of a difference between a holding midfielder or a center defensive midfielder and a center back and the way that he plays or
Interesting.
the way that he styles his play. So for what it's worth, maybe that's why he feels comfortable not having Pierre, right? You bring in someone else to sort of take that in, or again, you go and shift in some of these talented, multi-skill players. They're all skilled, but you know what I mean.
I know.
Multi-position players go on and take that role for the final 20 minutes or whatever. So, and honestly, there technically was another center back in there. Jovan Lukic, who has played center back in the past, could have just slid back. So there you go. I sort of just spoke exactly what probably
I
would have
mean,
happened.
Chris Donovan was available at
Yeah,
center back.
yeah.
I'm just saying. Just
Chris
saying.
Donovan was there.
Michael did mention the ref and the terrible calls. I thought the game was a bit choppy, and I thought he was a little bit whistle and card happy. I don't know if you thought about that, anything about the ref in particular.
The fact that it's not jumping into my head or it's not jumping at me was kind of maybe an indication that I didn't notice it that much. But what I will say is that I did not expect Brandon Craig to have a heel turn there at one point, just hacking the shit out of Bruno Damiani. So there was that happened. Um, but listen, I think not to be overly critical, but I think this is very much one of those games where the Union did end up playing down to Montreal's level. Like there was no reason for the game to have been as close as it was. If anything, you could argue that this game should have been tied based on that post.
Yep.
And frankly, Andre Blake's heroics there at the end with that save from the striker. Yeah, from the striker
Olugbo.
that
Yep.
was on the striker that was on the ground. So like you could argue that like they're very fortunate to walk away or I guess have all 3 points stay at home. But these are the games that good teams win, which is fantastic. And I know I mentioned him, but shout out Brendan Craig. He went as an unsigned, as a free agent, basically a fourth option center back for Montreal to being the guy who takes every single free kick. Had a great shot, got
Great
it through the
shot.
wall there, as well as being a first choice center back now for this team in Montreal. Not a great team, but nonetheless getting some minutes. So he's probably honestly outplaying his contract. So kudos to him.
Well, here, real quick regarding the yellow cards, Quinn yellow was a little strange according to Cole. I believe it was for dissent for the yellow card there. Kyle
Yeah,
Al-
probably.
Kyle Almond joins us. Kyle, I'll shoot to you 1 second, sir. Hold on. T Mac says, glad to see Craig in some minutes. Wish he was a more competent team. You know what's funny, T Mac, is that we just talked about George Campbell not too long ago. You have Brandon Craig playing well. There's another guy on the lineup right now. It's escaping me. I know Bradley mentioned him as well. Not Herbers. There's somebody that he had highlighted in the press conference. I don't know. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make, Prince Owusu, there's a lot of decent players on Montreal, like really dangerous players, and it's just not a competent team. But Kyle, I mean, Prince Owusu falls on his back, almost gets a bicycle kick. What did you see looking at him tonight? Because I don't think we've played a striker that has been that dangerous from the minute the whistle started to the end of the game. Because he was all over the field the entire time, and I'm really surprised he didn't get 2 goals.
I mean, he's had the majority of his goals in what the last 5 or 7 games. I forget what I wrote, but no, I mean, I was impressed. I gotta be honest. I only saw probably listening to the first half, got him right at the start of the second half. So that kick was probably one of the more impressive kicks I've seen from MLS side. So yeah, I mean, it's been he was good on that, but credit to Blake. I mean, Blake bailed them out, and like we've always said, Blake's good for what 3 to 5 games a year that you get points on, and this is one of them.
And it goes back to our conversation where I think we kind of eat our words a bit when we all said Andrew Rick should be starting, and that Andre Blake does Andre Blake things, and you remember why he is as good as he is, and why when he's healthy he has to be in between those posts.
Now,
Host,
now, now,
yeah,
to
go ahead.
that credit, I will say we've seen Andrew Rick do Andrew Rick things. Now, is he Blake? No, but I think he's a developmental piece, and yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, this is a game. Credit to Andre Blake, so I'm happy about it. But also, I'm happy that the Union got 3 points because Mike, you and I talked about it this morning. Like this
Mhm.
is a dangerous team, and I don't think people realize that. So
Yeah, so T Mac says here, I like Montreal's approach of taking a ton of reclamation projects and give them actual playing time to let them get rolling. I'm just glad it's not my team's philosophy. Skeleton also says, close game, but win is a win, but we need to score more. T Mac follows up with saying, Owusu is very good. I would have loved to have him on our team. I'll tell you that right there. Um, I lost my train of thought regarding what I was going to ask you, Kyle. Jose, any thoughts on Andre Blake tonight before I try to think about what I was going to say?
He did great.
Yeah,
I think he did great.
fantastic.
I watched the Union 2 game this weekend. I think Andrew Rick had a suspect performance against a very good Chattanooga side, but very
Mhm.
suspect in some of his decision making. I think about that second goal where he sort of came out and then backed up a little bit. But yeah, I think Andrew Blake was Andrew Blake, right? And that's such a big compliment, and you don't have to say much more.
I remember what I was going to say. Kyle, to your point, what we talked about this morning, Montreal was 2, 3, and 7 on the road this year. So if you take it as a point and wins combined, they're essentially 5 for 7 on the road. That's not terrible, especially in MLS where we know how difficult it is to play on the road. And as you and I were discussing, they could very well come in here and shake things up and make us look uncomfortable. And I think that's what the commentator said at the water break at the 30-minute mark. The Union looked really uncomfortable in the first half.
yeah, they did, and Jillian was now. Shout out to Jillian. She's in the press box tonight. She was giving me updates, and she's like, they look really flat. There's no connection. I said, well, they just came off of a win. You know, maybe it's a Red Bull effect. Maybe this is a trap game
Mhm.
going on the road to Houston. Who knows? But again, you get the Ty Baribo goal, and then Owusu gives the ball back. I mean, the goal back, and There you go. And credit to Makanya tonight. I mean, we've seen
Wow.
this kid's story. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry to get off topic there, Mike, but
No, it's
credit to
good.
Makanya. I mean, seeing this kid's journey last year,
Hmm.
just not getting a first team start, now getting his first MLS goal. I mean, for people that haven't followed Union 2 last year and even now, I mean, it's a really, really good story. And Sage Hurley gave a great interview on the Dupe with him. So
Mhm.
make sure to check that out. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was going to be a dangerous trap game. We kind of all felt that. But now they got 3 points. Now move on to Houston, who I still think they could get some points on the road on Saturday.
Now, here's the thing, also, and it's kind of going back to what Danny mentions here. Montreal played the Union better than the Rebels did. Didn't look like a last place team, which I agree 100%. Um, but I mentioned this statement earlier in our show, and I want to say it again here. Bradley Carnell said the mentality that he tries to have with his club is you want to be the hunter, not the hunted, which I think represented the Union in this from the standing standpoint earlier in the season, probably preseason expectations. They're going to be a middle of the pack team. They're going to hunt, try to shoot above their weight. The tables have turned. When people see the Union on their calendar, starting now, probably since like May or June, they are going to be the hunted, and you're going to get the best out of every single team that you face. So I understand Bradley's approach. You got to have a humble mentality. You got to be hungry at all times. You can never feel like you're not getting up for a game, even if it's against a weaker opponent. But the Union should expect the absolute best from everybody. And I remember again, the commenters on Apple said Montreal is one of the youngest teams in the league. So you have a young team who really don't have anything to play for whatsoever. They at least for them they can say they knocked off the top team in the MLS. I mean, Jose, any thoughts on just how this other teams are going to approach the Union, not just from a tactical standpoint, but from a we want to knock you guys down.
Oh, of course, it's a harder fall when you're at the top, right? Of
Sure.
whatever the saying is. So, like, yeah, of course. And to Montreal's point, to the point of Montreal, I should say, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna sound like Ben Fast here for a second, but like, there's no relegation. So, like, all Montreal's gaining is, or I guess by losing, potentially is going first in MLS draft if they haven't traded their shit away for whatever reason. So, like, they have nothing to really lose, and honestly, they're also or have been, it feels like, for many years now in a rebuild and trying to sort out whether it's one coach comes, one goes, an interim then becomes head, and then he's fired, and just a mess. And never mind rebranding the team like two times
Oh,
in
that was
2 years,
awful.
or that was. So, like,
Yeah.
I even forgot that they were called the Impact at one point when I posted today
Yeah.
from Grand Central or 30th Street Station. So, like, yeah, Mark, I'm Ben Fast now. I'm Ben Fast. But listen, what I do want to say about Macanya for a second is, like, he really made up today for that really shitty goal he let up. He absolutely fell asleep on that goal that Montreal scored, and I'm just glad that he sorted it out and came back, right. What I will also say is I cannot stand, and I think maybe Mike, people like this in whatever sport, Kyle, you as well, but like those people that just, like, something bad happens, it's never their fault, and they just raise their hands and they're like,
Mm.
what are you doing? What are we doing? And there was a lot of that in this game, and one specific person that did that today after the Macanya goal, and it's one of the most frustrating things I've ever seen. Daniel Gastag used to it after everything that didn't go right last
Yep.
year. Everything was like, I didn't do anything. And I gotta tell you, Kai Wagner's up there as one of those guys that does it every
Nah, he
single
does
time.
do it a lot.
It drives me nuts. Brother, just get back. Get back in position or something. There's no need for it. Just carry on.
Well, as Dave has highlighted on our show a couple times, he's not really always satisfied with how Kai does take a while to get back sometimes, and he falls asleep a few
Dude, he's
times.
an incredible player. Like,
He is.
world class crosser, unbelievable player. Can't even dream of having 2% the skill that he has. But on the defensive end, brother, you're not him. Like, you're just
Yeah,
not him.
I know.
Like, he makes up for it, but I just get frustrated when I see that. And again, if this is what press and fans are nitpicking about a team, then life is good, right? Because they're top of the league, winning games,
That's
and
right.
the attitude is the issue. Then like, great, this is a great problem to have. But yeah, that's all I wanted to bring up that I noticed immediately. It's like, okay,
No, it's okay. A couple more comments here. Michael says, "Can we sign Owusu and get rid of Donovan?" I think this goes back to our point from last week's conversation, Jose. Can we get Corey Burke and just get rid of Donovan? Because I'd love to see them back together again. Uh, Domesticated Hoagie. I know you keep talking about your Labubu that you put on your stories all the time. If you get like a Fang doll, you can probably take the jersey off the Fang doll and put it on your doll. So
dude, don't give her
just a
ideas.
little thing, just trying to help my fans out.
You know
Ridiculous.
Uh,
she's gonna do it, Mike.
I
You
know.
know she's
So
gonna do it.
you're welcome. Montreal, you're welcome for Brandon Craig and Herbert's. Danny, I know. I love it. It's funny how long ago Herbert's played with the Union. It's what, like 2018, 2019? It's been a
Who?
while.
Herbert?
Fabian Herbert's. Yeah, because he went to
Yeah,
Chicago for a while too.
yeah. He's an MLS lifer. I'm actually, I hate to say shocked, but I'm like very shocked that he stuck around the league this long. Like, he's just reliable, I guess. Though the Spanish commentators mentioned that he came off because of injury. So I don't know.
Yes,
We'll see.
he's recovering from, I think they said a hamstring, or I can't remember right now, but basically he's been coming off it, so he's on a minutes restriction essentially. Um, Sean says, "Why is Carnell in love with playing Donovan every game?" I genuinely think it might be the contract that is the reason why he keeps seeing so much playing time. I think you'll start seeing more Sal. Maybe Tanner goes out and gets somebody too. I'm not entirely sure. Let's kind of close out this match though. We saw Dono over Bruno. I already drilled the Donovan conversation in, so I'll skip over that. But Doyle replaces Indy Vasilev. I thought Indy played fine. I mean, Kyle, any thoughts on Indy Vasilev? I think Bedoya for replacing him is fine, but any
Oh,
thoughts you
one.
got?
No, I mean Indiana Vasilev is what Carnell loves, and we've all said it. Maybe sometimes his awareness needs to be better, but his work rate's great.
Yep.
So, but I was fine with that, and I like that switch off there in the second half. I think
Mhm.
that's a good kind of substitution there. So that's my thought.
Now here's the thing that this is the Kevin Sullivan substitution had me going back and forth a bit in my head. Because I see what Carnell's doing. You have a 2-1 lead. You bring in Donovan. You bring in Bedoya. You're going to get a guy who runs 100% in Donovan. You're going to get a smart player in Alejandro Bedoya who'll give you a lot of effort. I was leaning more towards Raffanello as a sub for Quinn instead of Kevin Sullivan. But it did seem like the Union were almost letting the game get away from them a bit. And it looked like Montreal was almost too dangerous. Like Union were just like, we're just gonna play defense for the rest of this match and we're gonna hope they don't score. Jose, I don't know if you any thoughts on the Cavan substitution, or if you agree that maybe that the play was too much in Montreal's favor, that maybe coach was trying to get some offensive flow going to at least try to get that third goal.
I honestly think it was just get them out there, trot them out. I don't know. Like, and I don't know if things change once Jesus Bueno comes in again. Like,
Yeah,
does
gosh.
Jesus Bueno take that role and becomes like let's just be honest and very frank here, like a more physical player, a better physically developed player that can go out there, and I don't want to say that Bueno is like a muscle man or anything like that. He's not the muscle of this team, but like
He's got
someone that
some
can throw
size
his
to him.
body around more, more
Yeah.
than a 15-year-old, which is an understandable statement to make. I don't think that's an outrageous thing for me to say.
No.
Um, so yeah, I'm indifferent about it. Like, fine, go throw him out there. In fact, I was it Caden Clark. He almost got in a fight with there in the corner
Yeah.
post. Like, it was just like it's like, what are we doing here? Like, there's no need for any of this.
I was against it at first, but I think Cavan actually put in a few good minutes. He almost had a scoring opportunity, or at least an assist, if I remember correctly. I mean, Kyle, any thoughts on Cavan, or if maybe you want to see somebody else different, like I mentioned,
No,
Raffanello?
I mean that was a situation I was fine with. Sure, just bring him on. Maybe he gets a goal, maybe he doesn't, but he's going to keep the pressure on. I was actually fine with that substitution move by Bradley. I was hoping Jillian would ask that question in the presser, just to get Bradley's thoughts on why he brought him in there at the end. But yeah, I think the more opportunities you get him, that's some more opportunities for growth.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
And he's gonna get bullied like Nashville from time to time, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You gotta learn to swim sometimes, as I like to say. So
Well, also goes it kind of goes to Michael's point here. Ben Bender, is he? Why wasn't he brought in as a sub? I don't know. I'm not the huge fan of Bender so far this season. I also don't think we've seen enough of him to judge him. Like, I don't want to be like us when Gazdag first came, where everybody was like on top of him for not playing well. It's like, well, he just came to this club a few weeks ago. Like, give him some leeway here. Um, but yeah, to Jose, to your point, once Jesus Bueno comes back, if Glavinovic ever comes back,
Jesus,
Bender,
what a sentence, Mike.
yeah,
Take it
if
easy.
he ever comes back, I mean, just saying, it is July already. I'm just saying, like, we really will have a depth issue. Not a bad issue to have, but it's really like, who's going to see playing time? Who's going to make this rotation? Who's going to be the fourth striker? If we're going to even have a fourth striker, behind Ua or Brebo or Bruno, whoever is that man on the bench.
Sal Levis.
But the thing is, though, yeah, let's say if you only have three strikers, I guess Bender, Bueno, Cavan, Raffanello, Bedoya, they're all going to see the bench. I wouldn't take any of those players out for Donovan or even Sal, in my opinion. But I mean, that's just me. Unless you take Olivier out and leave Nathan and or Frankie as that third option for either center back or right back.
But do you want to take Olivier out when you're trying to chase a game late, like you're down 1-0? Do you want to take Olivier out? Like, I mean, it's like,
I'm saying out of the bench
okay,
even.
I got you,
Yeah,
I got
not as an option at all. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you. Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things to play with. This is not a bad problem to have. The fact that we're complaining or arguing or debating, whatever you want to call it, the like last man on the bench shows you that there's a lot of promise on this bench. But at the same time, they could probably add somebody in the summer window. But a thing that I want to kind of end this night on, a conversation I brought up in the text messages that between the three of us and Jillian and Todd, this midfield is really great. Indy Vassiliv, Quinn Sullivan, Danley, and Lukic are playing well, and they play very cohesively together. My statement in the text messages that we had was, "Is this the best midfield the Union have ever had?" And you guys had kind of gone around the 2022 thing. So I mean, just let's talk about this topic to end the night. Kyle, what are your thoughts on this midfield right now compared to the ones we've seen in even just the recent years?
Like I said in that chat, I mean, Bedoya had 8 goals that year, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But my question to you two is this a better pairing than the Flock and Bedoya? I mean, not Bedoya, Flock and Martinez pairing, because I love Lukic and Danley. I think they work well together.
Yeah.
I'm a huge, um, you know, I'm a huge Martinez fan. I'm a huge Flock fan. But at the end of the day, like, I just love their chemistry together. Gazdag, I mean, I think Bedoya, Gazdag were probably better than, well, maybe not Quinn, but Indy that year, yeah. So maybe I break even on that.
I'm looking at the 2022 Major League Soccer season for Bedoya. He had 6 goals, 6 assists. I mean, he might have had 2 goals in like Open Cup or something. I'm only looking at MLS real quick. Um,
But
but
then you
yeah,
also had Jack McGlynn coming off the bench sometimes, making a spot start too.
yeah.
So
It's I the only thing I ever had, I think somebody mentioned in the comments, Vasilev is just a better version of Flock. And I think we've always talked about, like, well, God, I wish Flock and McLean could just like morph together into one player, because they would be an incredible player if they were just one person. And I think if you look at the potential or maybe even the versatility, this team is more versatile than that club. Like, Jose Martinez could play the 6 or he could play the 8. And we actually talked about the probably a few times with Jose. Like, I would love to see him on the right side of the diamond and put Jesus Bueno at the 6 instead, or put Flock on the 6 or something, because I want to see Jose Martinez more in the attack. I think you can see how every single person in this diamond or this midfield can play each position. I think that's what makes it a little bit different. Maybe not Quinn Sullivan defensively, but Indy can play the 6. I wouldn't be surprised if Lukic could do some work on the 10. He's obviously really good on the ball. Danley's clearly really good on the ball. and he's the most dangerous in the attack from the defensive mid pairings. I think from a versatility standpoint, this team for me trumps the 2022 side. But Jose, I mean, it's such a hard conversation to have, but it's just fun to talk about.
Uh, Honestly, I could go with either. I think what's probably best to stress is just like how unbelievable the scouting was behind these guys, right?
Yeah,
To find Danley and get him and find Jovan and have him. Yeah, we often talk about, or as press and fans, we often joke and laugh about the lag for players to get situated in the league and go and thrive and do well, etc. There was no lag. There was no adjustment period for these guys. Like even last year when Danley came in, was it like mid Leagues Cup, I believe, or right before Leagues Cup? I think he
yeah,
was like
around
he was an
there.
addition like last minute type of thing. Like he went on and just let it rip, right? Um, you see Jovan from the get go this season came in, commanded that spot, and I've always said it like he's a Jose Martinez without the bullshit, and if anything, probably even a better passer, right? Same bite, same effort, everything.
Mm,
Like
I think Jose's long ball was better, but go ahead. I mean, I don't disagree with you. Yeah, I don't disagree with you though.
But that's
Yeah,
okay. He
yeah,
doesn't. Jovan doesn't have to do the long ball because
that's
he's
true.
collecting the ball higher up the field because the
Yeah,
ball's advancing faster from the back. So like,
true.
I hate to like punch back to what you're saying, but like
No,
it's
it's
just completely different style of play between Curtin and Carnell now, or not
yeah,
completely. It's altered, let's say.
yeah.
Um, but you know, like I could go with either midfield. Obviously, 22 was special, very special, unbelievably special. Went to the highest peak and just fell short. This side is doing things just so well, and I guess Bradley Cornell was in a press did a MLS 360 after the press conference. So like I want to see what he had to say for a minute, etc. But like
Mhm.
the Union are doing this on pennies. Like it's incredible, and I'm not advocating for suddenly having money bags dropped at the front door or anything like that. I'm just advocating for them to continue to do the scouting that they're doing and maybe the patience of people believing that these folks know what they're doing. Like, case in point, look at that midfield this year. Case in point, back up and what was it? Forget which match it was when I did that from the vault video, and like the Union team from last year, last April, is unbelievably different from what you see now, right? There's
Yeah,
no
it's
Low,
crazy.
no Gastag, no
Julian,
Lynn, no Julian Carranza,
yeah.
and the Union are back up all the way to the top. So like, listen, Atlanta tied today. Who did they tie against? I don't even remember. It's a shitty team, right?
Oh,
Like,
I didn't pay attention.
yeah, Atlanta's that team, and I think I see. Yeah, there you go. There's Mark. I knew he would say something at some point about it. But
Yep,
like Atlanta's 12,
it's
12.
crazy.
They're just above DC United. They're certainly closer to Montreal than they are to the Union in terms of points and just about everything. So for what it's worth,
And
like
a couple comments here. So Danny says we should feel blessed. I don't know that any of us would have expected to be in first place at all this year. Pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I think blessed is a great way to put it. Sean says Lukic and Danley def make a lot great plays and are physical and smart. They aren't walking red cards like Martinez, who was always willing to start a fight, as Evan says. And then yeah, Mark says right here, Atlanta spent all that money to be where the Union are. Union was last year in terms of points. And then Jillian says, just popping in to say hi about the drive home from the soup. Kyle, you look lonely on that couch. Kyle, your wife misses you. So that's all. Have a safe trip home, Jillian.
She she got to talk to Makanya tonight,
Oh
so
yeah, very nice.
that's so we'll have that coming out here soon.
Definitely. Evan says Montreal and Philly last in spending. One of the teams is last, which you would expect the least amount of spending, and the other team is in first out of the whole league. Yeah, it's crazy how much different these two clubs are. But Kyle, you kind of talked about Houston briefly, and I think looking at the rest of the schedule, I'm just going to run it down from starting on this Saturday. Houston, Colorado at home. You have the friendly against Frankfurt. You have Toronto at home. You have the Red Bulls at home for the Open Cup. Red Bulls on the road. Chicago at home. Two very tough matches. Cincinnati and Vancouver on the road. And considering the supporter shield standings, those could be massive games back to back on the road.
Right.
You have New England at home, DC on the road. We've played well in DC before, NYCFC, and then you end the season in Charlotte. Didn't we end the season in Charlotte in the 2022 season too?
No, we it was the game before,
Oh, okay.
and then the Union played Toronto and beat them 4-1. I think.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle, confidence wise in this club finishing out the year, because we're all talking about how blessed we are, how great this team is. Even though it's a tight race, I'm looking at that schedule and looking at how healthy you are, and like, man, I mean, we really could be a serious contender by the time the season's done.
I mean, I'm looking right now at my season predictions, which I said on our last episode that are blown to smithereens. I mean, I said 42 points. We're at 46 now, I think. Um, yeah, we have in this game of five, we have 6 points out of nine. I have 5 points in the next quad of five, and then seven at the last quad of five or six, because MLS has a funky number. Anyway, look, I'm happy, and if you're going to Houston this weekend, make sure to say hi to Jillian and I. We're going to be flying out, so
Hell
we'll be
yeah.
out there. Texas in July, baby. It's gonna be hot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very confident. I think I would love to see another 3 points in these next two games, but if not, you're still gonna get 6 points, and let's say they get set. They're gonna get 7 points and be at 55. I mean, the whole thing is, can the Union hit 60 now? And that's when we came into the season. 60 points was like a pipe dream. Could
Yeah,
he hit 60? Maybe. But I think more importantly, let's just enjoy this run that the team is on, you know, for what it is. Let's not think, oh, we can be here and there. But yeah, 60 could be a possibility, maybe. But honestly, I'm so impressed with what Carnell and his staff have done because Jose, to your credit, Mike, to your credit, and others, there's talent on this team,
yeah,
and just let it ride and see how it plays out.
absolutely. Evan mentions Colorado is interesting. They beat us last year in the third place game of League's Cup. Yeah, that kept us out of CONCACAF play. Which honestly now, Jose probably is a blessing, really, than anything, considering the congested schedule and Carnell being in his first year. Is it kind of a blessing in disguise that we missed out on all these extra tournaments and games?
I guess you could say that, but there's also financial realities behind it, right? Like the CONCACAF money's nice.
True.
I'm sure the players miss the Leagues Cup bonus of a million and change after every single win or whatever that the amount was from the CBA. Like there's pluses and negatives, but like ultimately these guys are athletes. They want to win, they want to compete, etc., and they're competing in the competition that they probably see as most important. Well, I guess the only two that they can in terms of the league and the U.S. Open Cup. But like,
Yeah,
there's something to be said about the financial side and how much money they were making off of Leagues Cup for all well earned, of course.
absolutely. Danny mentions collectively this midfield is very good. Philly has a habit of finding mids. Medunian, Montero, Nagira, Maidana, to name some vets. Yeah,
Shout
listen,
out, shout out mentioning Maidana. Not many people talk about Chaco Maidana. That guy was a gazelle on the field.
him and Vincent together, man, it was a special duo back in the day. I loved
Dude,
it.
I wish Vincent wasn't homesick. Like I wish he would have stuck around a little longer. Oh, what a
Who
he's such
wants to go back home to France, right? Wasn't he was French, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was French. I'm pretty sure. I know he. I 99% sure he's French. I'm 99% sure that he wanted to go back to France.
Yeah, of course. Sean says this team is special and has that it factor. Yeah, Sean, listen, I agree 100%. This team feels different. And I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. It's only July. We still have a long way to go. We still have 2.5 months to go. But this team does have this it factor. And frankly, when healthy, I'd put this club up with anybody, especially with Bruno playing better. I think Bruno's playing much better now these last two matches. And I think that's only going to continue to grow. The floodgates are going to open for him, hopefully sooner rather than later, in terms of scoring more goals. Cole says, am I making this up, or did the announcer last game say he talked to Ernst and Carnell, who both said they're looking to add this transfer window? I'm not sure, Cole. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if they are looking for somebody, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they stay the way they are. I just don't want them to sell. That's all I care about this season. You have, as Sean says, a very special team. I don't want to mess it up. Adding, great. Removing, it would have to be someone like, I don't know, Bender or something. Somebody that's not really relevant to our to our overall production for me not to care. This team just has that it factor. And then the one team we agree on joins us in the comments. Thanks everyone for tuning in. So listen, we talked for 55 minutes. The Union took care of business tonight. Not the prettiest win, but we still took care of business, 2-1. Kyle, anything coming up for the one team we agree on? Anything you'd like to plug? Any final thoughts on tonight's win?
Um, just happy for 3 points. I mean,
Yeah.
again, good teams find a way to win. Yeah, make sure if you're heading to Houston's, Jill and I'll be there. Make sure to say hi. I got a travel article coming tomorrow. Jillian's got the match recap tonight, and she's going down tomorrow to talk to some players on the first team and the second team. Um, so yeah, we got some content coming out.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Jose, anything from you, sir, coming out? Substack, MLS, etc.
Literally working on an MLS piece right now. LA Galaxy defeated Minnesota at Minnesota's home, so sort of a taste of their own medicine since Minnesota's been, I think, the best team on the road this year. So LA gets it done, and it's Dennis Wonga doing his thing, continuing to be just such an X factor. And I'm shocked that he's not in Mexico yet.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. Michael, I guess my last thought here will be to Michael's comment. With Makanya scoring, literally every starter has scored for this team except for Blake, of course, right? Or Andrew Rick. But my final
And
thought.
Bledsoe.
Oh yeah, Olivier hasn't scored yet. At this point, it's gonna be like, who hasn't scored? Bender hasn't scored. Raffanello. Once Cavan scores, the whole world's gonna collapse. Twitter's gonna go in an absolute frenzy. I know, Jose, your comments and mentions will go berserk once Cavan Sullivan scores. But my final thought is, we're talking about the it factor, the specialness of this team. This team is a complete team, and what I like the most about this compared to 2022 is that it feels like anybody at any moment can step up and win us the game. Oh, Donovan hasn't scored either. Um, and I think that's what I love the most about this ride is not knowing how or 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 who is going to make us win these matches, but we just find a way to do it. So I'm having a great time covering it. From an AAT sports standpoint, I will not be covering this Saturday's match for the post game show. I will be in Lehigh Valley. Jose, are you going to join me up at Iron Pigs game?
What do I have on Saturday?
I don't know.
Well, the fact that I don't know sounds like a maybe.
Okay. Well, if you do,
Is
just
your
shoot me.
daughter going?
No.
Okay, I'm trying to think.
She's with her mom that day.
Okay, I was trying to think like, how can I swing the kids? It's like they would love to be with another kid,
I
but
feel that.
they'll think you're a kid.
They probably already do. Who's why is that? Why is that kid driving a car? Yeah. So I won't be. I will not be doing a post game show for Saturday's match. So if you guys want to do something, fantastic. Otherwise, we'll have to recap. When's the next match after the Saturday match after Houston? What is it? It's a Colorado
Saturday at home against Colorado.
on July 26th.
Yeah.
I'll be back live there. So, um,
I
again,
got to run.
yeah.
So
I appreciate
thanks, guys.
this across the pitch. Enjoy your night, everybody. Go Union.